Hello, everyone. Hi, Luna. Oh, so of course I chose Anu today, but hopefully we'll see how she does because she's been pretty active. So if it gets too crazy, I could put her away and hey, Al, um, maybe grab one of the Colombian rainbows. Are you looking to see Galadriel or Nymeria, the leucistic? Ooh, hello, hello. So glad you're here, Annalise. I watched your video and I was going to talk about it today. Hi, Cydia. Well, let's give it a couple more seconds. Hi, Catherine and Scarlett. So nice to see you or hear from you. I wish I could see you. That's what I'm. Ooh, hi, Amy. I'm really excited about the patron Zoom party because I get to see you guys instead of just talking to a camera. Um, so today is a birthday celebration, right? I mean, it's been a year. I can't believe it's been a year. Um, and hi, Tara. Thanks. Yeah, so I find it is really important to reflect on the past. And um, I when I started this thing, I had no idea. I had no idea what was going to happen. All I was doing was, following my passion to share more about these animals. And, it came a lot from working with the zoo and watching people, Hazy, watching the response that people had to them and watching people get over their fears and really wanting to just do more with that. But I had no idea how it would change and grow and how I would change and grow from that. And how it would teach me to be to be more me too. I, I watched All Canadian Reptile Girl, who's here today, Annalise. Thank you. It is her fifth anniversary, and she posted a video today watching her first video that she ever put on YouTube. And I thought it was amazing. I thought it was wonderful because personally, I can't yet. I cringe when I look back at my first videos. Um, but it's important to look back, and to see how far you've come. And, it's only been a year for me, but I feel like I've learned and grown so much, and I've learned how to be just more authentic. And I think that's something that's really valuable. I think that there's there's like a lot of YouTubers that thank you. Um, yes, we all do. um, there's YouTubers that are very like polished and you're looking at something that feels above you, and I don't know, I like the idea of being relatable, and that I'm a human that's not perfect. Oh, thank you. That's so cute. Um, I'm not perfect, and I never claim to be, but like showing how I'm learning as I go, I think is important because I was looking at YouTube trying to learn, 5 years ago, and I think it's important to make people feel like, okay, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to not know. It's okay to learn and change and grow. So that's one thing I've been thinking a lot about. And, this time period actually is a huge reflection time period for me anyway, because it's about to be the anniversary of a crazy emergency surgery that I had when I was 16 that changed my life. And then also a surgery that I had 2 years ago on my spine that also changed my life. So October, November, like now and now add snake therapy to that list. So it's a crazy time. It's like a snake shedding their skin and remembering coming out all fresh and shiny and new, and gotta remember to also look back, and that's part of why I keep the sheds too. So I like to look back. Um, so it's only been 1 year. Is well, thanks. Thank you, I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I still have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn, but I've learned a lot. I mean, just having to learn how to do the video and the editing and the lighting and all of it is crazy. And then learning about the snakes, learning about how to not be nervous on camera, which guess what? I still am. All of that. It's crazy. But gonna just keep going and hopefully just keep growing and getting more authentic and more real. And I thought something cute that I could share with you guys today, and then we'll move on, is I was curious if you guys wondered about the Be Mindful of Snakes sign and its history and where it came from. Because I've actually had that sign for probably 10 years or more. Um, Thank you, Tara. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. So the sign. So I used to work for a company called the Do Lab, and we did large scale art installations and festivals. We built our own festivals. We also built installations at Coachella and various festivals around the world. But we had our own festival that we ran called Lightning in a Bottle, and we ran everything, operations to you know logistics, everything. And so on site, we had one site that was our festival site for 5 years, and it was in San Antonio Recreation Area up in Northern California, um, actually middle of California. And there were quite a few gopher snakes and rattlesnakes that lived on site. Also California kings and other snakes, but the primary ones you'd see are gophers and rattlesnakes. And so we also had a sign team. They were artists. They just busted out signs for all sorts of things to help people know where to go and help people see what things were. And it was all very creative. And so they made a couple of those signs that said be mindful of snakes, and I became kind of the snake wrangler on site, even though that was not my job, because I wanted to protect the snakes, because we had all this heavy equipment rolling around. We had golf carts and Polarises raging across. We were building crazy things, and snakes could get hurt. And of course, festival goers and builders could also, run into a rattlesnake, and they did very often. So anytime I heard on the radio, uh, what do I do? There's a snake. There's a snake. I'd answer right away, and I'd be like, I'll be right there. And I'd jump in my cart and I'd go get it and relocate it to a safe distance so that it wouldn't be hurt and it wouldn't, yeah, because also people wanted to kill them sometimes. So I would be like, just don't touch it. Like, I'll be right there. So that be mindful of snake sign, I stole it and I put it on my cart, on the front of my vehicle, and it became my thing every year. to have that on my cart. There's several of them, but that was my favorite one, and it's all janky and beat up. I mean, it's dirty and broken a little bit, but I still loved it and I kept it. And so that is what is still hanging up there. And that's the origin of Be Mindful of Snakes. And I like it because, they could have said, watch out, there are snakes here. But somebody on that team said, be mindful of them. And that I thought was really beautiful because that's what I want us to think about is not to be fearful of them, um, but to be mindful of them and mindful with them, and mindful of ourselves at the same time. So I thought it kind of encompassed that really well. And yeah, and I even put it on a mug and it's on the t-shirts. But I like it anyway. Thought that would be fun to share with you guys. All right, let's check these comments real quick. Okay. Yeah, so I thought I'd show a couple of I just got my shirts, by the way. I hadn't gotten any myself. There's a couple of them. Um, and then the one I'm wearing, of course, which is kind of the only one that fits me. Because they don't make extra smalls in the other ones, but those ones are really comfy. So, yeah, go get a shirt if you want because they're really nice. Okay. Also, I want to give yes, snake. I want to give props, um, in general, but to people like Annalise and Amy and Brad, from Brad's Value Actors. These are people who, we're supporting each other, by commenting on each other's stuff, by, you know, sharing each other's stuff, by tagging each other, in our videos and saying, "Hey, this person is doing awesome things," or "Hey, I learned something from this person." And I think that's really, really valuable in this community. Something that came up at Animal Con was uh, collaboration, not competition. And I feel like there's a lot of like competition in this YouTube verse, reptile YouTube verse. So I really appreciate it when we all kind of just give each other support. I learned a lot from Brad, and I tagged him and said, I learned this from Brad in my video. And then he subscribed and he comments on those videos and he says, good job. And like, if it just feels good. Um, and so I think it's really valuable for us all to think about that and to all remember that we're all in this together. And if the better we support each other, um, the better we're going to learn to be better keepers and take better care of our animals. So I have learned so much from so many others before me. Hi. Hi, Rafi. Um, and yeah, it just brings me to the whole community idea. And this is where I wanted to ask you guys to weigh in. Um, you know, I was thinking, well, we have this little community right now. Hi, Math Pig. Yay. Um, we have this little community going, not just on YouTube, but the Discord community has become just a really beautiful place. A lot of people have been saying to me that, yeah, exactly. A lot of people have said to me lately that the Discord community has been really powerful for them, has felt like they've had better, um, better social interactions and positive feelings from their social actions from that community in particular than they have in a very long time. Exactly, and so have I. So have I, and I remark upon it all the time. So, I've been thinking, well, shouldn't we have, like, a name for the snake therapy little community, and what should that name be? Because I've just been like, "Snake therapy fam," but if you guys wanna think about it and, I thought it would be cute to have some kind of, like, name for our community, and I haven't been able to think of one, so I thought we should all weigh in. So you can either send it in the comments, or we can talk about it on the Discord, or you can comment on it on the video afterwards, I just thought that would be cute. Annalise, do you have one? What is your community called? Is there a name for it? I'm curious. I know, the Slither I know that I think Ants Canada has one, and a couple other creators at Animal Con were saying that their communities had a name, and I thought that was cute. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to say that thank you, really, to all of you for even wanting to be here. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that you wanna listen to me talk sometimes, but the most the most beautiful stuff has been coming from this. I mean, stuff I never imagined, with how people are feeling seen and heard. That's what I keep hearing is, "I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel supported." Um, and I feel like the things I've been feeling about my snakes, other people are relating and other people are supporting that, and I don't feel ashamed to talk about it. And that is so valuable. Um, and I don't know that I really thought about that when I went into this. And I certainly didn't think about the neurodiversity angle, which has been even more amazingly powerful. And I'll get to that in a second. Um, One more thing that I wanted to ask your opinions on, and again, this can be an ongoing thing. It's going to be an ongoing thing, but I would like to create some snake therapy swag, t-shirt, whatever, sticker, mug, or something. Maybe a set of 3 or something like that, that is either biannually made or every few months, where the part of the proceeds go to a either charitable cause for neurodiversity or conservation, snake conservation specifically. Um, so we'd kind of like rotate it out, and each time I could tweak the design so that it was a collaborative kind of thing. So if you buy it, then most of the proceeds or half of the proceeds or whatever goes to that organization. No name for the community. Yeah, I mean it is a lot to juggle. I get it. Um, so yeah, let me know your thoughts on that because I like the idea. I think it could bring, even more kind of momentum to this thing that we're doing here, that we're talking about. Whether it's the animals and caring for them and in their natural environments, or how these animals are supporting people with neurodiversity, and disabilities, and even addiction and all of that. So um, I need to I need to find a vendor to work with that's not the one I use currently, for my stuff on Fourth Wall, because Fourth Wall really takes almost all the profits, and so it wouldn't be helpful to to sell it through them because not only would I not make anything, but neither would the charity. Um, hey, oh, it's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I really hope to connect with you soon. Very much so. I have so much respect for you. I'm really loving your videos. So thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate that. Um, so yeah, let me know what you guys think about the swag idea and also what that would be called because I'm not really sure. I just kind of randomly thought of it, but I'm not really sure what that would be called. And then I'd like to make a list of organizations, from conservation to supporting neurodiversity and that kind of stuff, and then rotate them out and kind of do it and then promote it so that we get some money going to other things, and I think it'll bring in more attention and community as well. So let me know what you guys think of that. I'm very curious. Yeah, John, thank you. I don't know if there's a lag in the comments, but all right. Well, I will move on in that case to um, updates with the neurodiversity stuff. Um, so again, that has been blowing my mind every day. Um, and I felt like a lot of people have been getting feeling validated, just feeling seen, um, getting a voice. And that's something I didn't know I was going to do when I started this channel, and now it's become a really main focus of it. Um, and so I just can't get enough of it. Like I think it's so important to talk about. And so I was speaking with Dave yesterday, who is the father of Scarlett and Catherine as well, who I did the video with, Scarlett and the ball python. And we are actually going to follow up and do a follow-up episode on their story next week. But I was speaking with Dave yesterday, and he's kind of helping me to think about where is this going? Where is this research going? Because it is research. Um, what am I going to do with it besides talk about it on YouTube? And I don't fully know yet. But he gave me some good things to think about, and I think that it should be a goal to get something published in some form or fashion, to kind of make it more legit, I guess. um, and have it be, this is the thing. This is, I have research on this, and there should be more research on it, and maybe it can help people incorporate reptiles into therapy programs more. It will help more neurodiverse people feel good. Um, and also, you know, I've also been talking with people about uh, recovery from addiction and reptiles, and their reptiles really helping them with that. And being ADHD often means you have an addictive personality. Um, it's easier to become addicted. So those are kind of interesting together. Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot of value in all this stuff that we're talking about, and in telling these stories, um, and also in just showing the data. I mean, I have at this point now it's 123 people have responded to the survey, um, and it's only just going to keep ticking away. So Yeah, right? I mean, just she's on the move though. Um, yeah, so I'm still trying to investigate it right now. And I want to keep telling these stories for a while first and keep gathering the data. But he did get Dave gave me some good things to think about in the process. And so I'm kind of just still muddling that all over. I actually have um one of the I did an I actually did an interview. Someone interviewed me about being a neurodivergent keeper. Yeah, right, Cydia? It's a lot already. Um, it's a lot of data already, which is cool. And I'm a small channel, so it's not like a ton of people have seen this survey. So I think it's very likely that we could get a whole lot more because, you know, I've heard this from a number of people that the observation is, I think there's more neurodiverse people in reptile keeping than not. It just kind of seems like that. Um, but yeah, I did an interview myself. Can I describe what neurodiverse means? Yes. So, if you're familiar with things like ADHD, autism, OCD, there are all sorts of different what do you say? Like it's just differences in the way that our brains work. Um, so there's a lot of different terms and different, I don't call them disabilities because that makes them out to be something abnormal. And unfortunately, like a lot of these things have disorder in the name, like attention deficit disorder. And we're kind of working on trying to change that as well as like it's just different. It's not bad, it's not disordered, it's not wrong, there's nothing wrong with it. Um, but anyway, if that I hope that answers your question. So there's other like learning disabilities that they call them, like people who have trouble with numbers or dyslexia, for example, which I actually have some dyslexia. Um, and yeah, so it's just a difference in how our brain works. There's neurodiverse and neurotypical. So neurotypical is what's normally thought as normal. But we're all there is no such thing as normal. So yeah, so I've been talking to a lot of people with ADHD, autism across the spectrum of these conditions. I'm ADHD. Yeah. Yeah. Like to see this one. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up. A lot of things that are included in neurodiversity disabling. It's true. I mean, it's true. And the word disorder can be and have a negative connotation. Um, so, figuring out different ways to talk about it, I think, is important. And on that note, there is a fantastic set of lectures called The Myth of Normal. It's by two psychiatrists. One is neurodivergent and one is not. And they talk all about neurodiversity and how our brains work and, what are the differences and why there really shouldn't be this thing of normal because it causes shame, right? And so disorder can also cause feelings of shame, right? So I think it's important to normalize being different, right? Right. I mean, so what I was going to say earlier is that someone interviewed me about being neurodivergent and reptile keeper, and that is Yes from her. Their channel is called Skinkology. I don't know if any of you seen it. They are neurodivergent and I believe disabled physically. Um, and they interviewed me, which was kind of a nice change. And one of their questions was, "What makes your brain weird?" And I loved that. I thought it was great because it wasn't like, what's wrong with your brain? It's just like, yeah, my brain works differently. It's weird, and I got to talk about that a bit. So, I'll when they release the episode, I'll post it for sure on the channel because it was a really fun conversation. They had some fantastic questions, very thought provoking, very fun, uh, and it was nice to have another neurodivergent person interviewing me for a change. So, um, yeah, I mean, exactly. Wrong, not wrong or disordered, just disabled, struggle to do things, and that's okay. Yes. Um, yeah, struggles are okay. This, yes. So it changed. It's what got me doing this whole thing. It's fantastic. They are so good at clearly communicating this stuff to anybody who's never heard of it before or who knows a little bit about it. It blew my mind. So I highly recommend checking this series of lectures out. I think they're each like half an hour or something long. There's like four of them. You can buy it on Audible or Amazon. It's an audio book kind of thing. So, one more thing, yeah, just to kind of wrap that up is that I mentioned, the addiction thing too, which it turns out that a few people I've talked to have mentioned, that their 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 movement away from addiction, um, and their movement towards health, mental health, emotional health, um, was very much intertwined with their reptiles and their snakes. And so I'm going to be interviewing someone who's actually got a pretty big YouTube channel. I just discovered him myself. He's Mark's Reptiles. Um, he's a venomous keeper, and he has ADHD, but he also said he's 10 years sober, and wants to talk about that and how his snakes have helped him. And then um, another person who was an alcoholic, and her geckos have really helped her. So all of this stuff I think is really powerful. Um, and a year ago, if you had asked me if I was going to be doing this, I would have been like, huh? What are you talking about? I like snakes. I want people to like snakes. So it's kind of fun to like look back and realize that just in a year, all of this has happened. It's kind of crazy. So I'm just catching up on the comments here. I mean, if Kai, if you wonder, you can always just like if you really want to get diagnosed, sometimes diagnoses can be quite liberating. I know mine was. I didn't know I was neurodivergent until 10 years ago. So once and I didn't really understand it even until a few years ago. And now I'm like, now I get it. And it's very liberating to kind of understand and to be able to do research into it. But then, you don't need a label. You don't have to have a label on you. So it's up to you. Um, so now that I have gotten all that fun stuff out of the way, let's just do a couple of, if anybody has any questions that they would like answered, and then I will bring on our very special guest for the day. So please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And if not, We're gonna bring on our friend. Hi, Liz. I'm excited to meet you next week, Liz, virtually anyway, and do that follow-up about Scarlett. I'm really excited about that. All right, well, if there's no questions, then are we ready? All right, so wants to know how many snakes I have. Okay, I have 9. I have 9 snakes. I've got the 2 king snakes, the rat snake, and the rest are different kinds of boas. I want a python, but I can't right now. No more snakes right now. Okay. Well, I'd like to bring on a very special person who I admire and absolutely adore. And we bonded deeply in part because we both have very similar outlook on working with snakes. And that is to bring in a deep sense of love that comes back to us as we give it. So I would like to introduce Amy Denzi.
Greetings.
Hi, Amy.
Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you great. Thank you so much
Fabulous.
for being with me. I love your backdrop. It's amazing. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Did you make that?
No, you can't really see the whole thing, but it's a 6-foot sculpture done by Ron Rundo at Snakescapes. You guys can look up Snakescapes.
Oh, I just discovered him and I lost my mind.
He's a very good friend of mine and actually just moved in right here in my neighborhood. So I have access to art.
Okay, well, I went and like commented on a bunch of his stuff on Instagram and kind of stalked him and was like, "You're blowing my mind. You're the most amazing thing I've ever seen." So you can tell him next time you see him that he has a huge fan.
Fabulous. He just came over here the other day and added my babies on for my memorial back here. So
Aw,
that was fabulous.
so sweet.
Larry's got a treat for me. Thank you, love.
Yay!
It's Ningishsida.
Who is this?
This is Ningishsida.
Okay, and this is not a new one, is it? Is
No,
this your new one? No.
no. I did get 2 new ones, and they are in the other room in quarantine.
Well, I'm going to give you the stage for a little bit. I want you to talk about, in case anyone doesn't already know, who you are, what you do, and why you're so amazing.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for having me here today. And you guys, when Shira said that we bonded at Animal Con, absolutely. We had met at the LA Expo. What's that one called? Is that Pomona?
Yeah, the Super Show, yeah.
The Super Show.
Super Show.
And it was really cool because I was with my friend Dave Kaufman and we were running around. Dave's like, "Oh, do you know who that lady is? She does this." And he told me all about Shira's snake therapy. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is really something that I, relate to, that resonates with me." And it was really cool because when we met and then Shira texted me later, it was like instant. Like when you get that feeling like you've known somebody and you hug and it's like, oh my gosh, we're kindred spirits for sure. And then she sent me a message and asked if we could do an interview. And I just, like the whole time we're talking to each other, I'm looking in your face thinking, this is like one of my people, like when you said for your Concord, like snake fam. And I thought, yes, it's definitely like fam because that's just how I felt, that warm, fuzzy love feeling right away. But then that was great. I'm talking too loud. Mm-hmm. I talk loud, and Larry put this really great little microphone on me so I don't have to use my big teacher voice. So then, we did a couple messages and stuff, but then at Animal Con, we were both there and we ended up running around together. I felt like 2 little girls, like middle school age, giggling and chatting and talking about all the things that we love. And it was like, that was where the true bond happened. And if you guys haven't seen it, we did a live video together, walking around Animal Con, just looking at the different things that they had. We, like Shira said, we're learning, and she's much further along in this than I am. But we tried to do a live. Our signal wasn't good, so then we had to go back and do it again as just a regular video. But we ran around as though it were live. And before I go on to say who I am, I just also want to say the next thing. When Shira first started this tonight, she talked about, going back and watching your first episode and the cringe worthiness of it. Well, I'm still at that point. I have some videos I'm proud of, but most of my stuff is cringe worthy to me. But we're learning so much, and I've worked with a lot of different people that are really big in the YouTube community. And, nobody mentioned things to me like ways to improve. And when you talk about collaboration, one of the biggest things in collaboration is constructive criticism and helping each other improve in certain ways. And Shira noticed that when we did our live video, which wasn't live, but we did it as live as we could, that there were ways that we could improve that video. And then she told me about my thumbnails, and my thumbnails are like everything I could fit into one little picture I fit in, and it looks real good on my big computer screen. But, I wasn't thinking about how it looked on my phone and how busy it was. And I had a couple of people mention the intricacy of my thumbnails, or, maybe you should let YouTube pick your thumbnail. But nobody ever said to me, like, you could really improve your thumbnails by, making them more crisp, and less is more, just like the things that Shira said to me were so good. And it just really was clear. And I just really appreciate that level of collaboration, not just chatting together, but actually talking about ways that we can help each other improve. So thank you. Now, for those those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Amy Benzie, and I have my social media handle is Happy Basins. And what I'm holding in my hand right here is a basin emerald tree boa. And these are really desirable animals because they're hard to come by. They're expensive. They take all kinds of stuff to care for them. But so they're considered like not a snake that you get for a first-time snake person. Only if you have a lot of experience, you should keep these animals, and you should never touch them because they bite everybody. They're not handleable, and if you touch them, they're going to get sick and diseased and quit eating and everything. Well, I have a bunch of these. I have a whole big collection of these animals, and I don't only hold them, but if you check out my social media pages, you'll see that when people come to visit my house, I literally cover them with, I have 6 ambassadors. So people come, they sit here in my jungle room in hammocks, and I cover them in these animals, and they're all super friendly. And I also travel to the wild to find these guys in the Amazon rainforest all over South America. And I also am able to do this right here with wild northern emerald tree boas. And they are really known to be unhandleable. So I just don't believe that their reputation, I don't see their reputation either in the wild northerns or in these captive bred basins. And that's one of the real big things that Shira talks about, snake therapy. And these guys are, I mean, even if you don't have neurological differences, just if you just want to feel extra happy, you can just hold your animals and you just instantly feel loved and special. I do anyway. And I know the people who visit my house do too. So my thing is taking these basin emerald tree boas and showing that they are not vicious, unhandleable creatures, but rather the sweetest things on this whole entire planet.
I love it. I love it.
So
We're
that's
such
what I do.
peas in a pod. I love
And
it.
I have 7 adult basins that are from my collection. I have 1 baby. I did have one of my emeralds just had babies a month ago, and I let her. You guys can't see my room here, but this whole entire room is covered in vines. My animals roam free in here. And my beautiful Isis, she's 7 years old. She wanted to be cool. And I, not being a seasoned reptile person, I do my research, I follow the rules, but my pregnant snake didn't want to be right under the heat all the time. So I let her do what she wanted, and it made her pregnancy last too long and stopped the pregnancy development. So I did only get 1 baby out of it. So I have, and that's a really long story. I have 7 of these and then 1 little baby. And then upstairs, I have a beautiful northern emerald tree boa that I'm helping in recovery right now. And then just on Monday, I know this group probably wouldn't say it, but one of the biggest things that Shira and I have together is that we are criticized by the regular breeding community, not by the snake lovers, because that's our people, but the folks who, keep these animals in racks and tubs and usually, don't handle them and they're breeding them. They don't agree with all this handling. And, that's a big thing that we push against that. And we show that handling these animals is therapeutic on all kinds of levels. Mm-hmm. And even if it's just to increase your happiness for that moment, that is therapy.
Oh yeah.
And
feel good.
So, what did you say?
Feel good. It feels good.
Yes, just to feel good. So I do see a lot of stuff on Facebook. If you paid for the animal, it's not a rescue. I do not agree with that statement. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me personally, if your heart it feels like you need to help that animal, and if the only way to do it is to buy the animal, that's what has to be done. So Larry and I had access to 2 of these emeralds, basin emeralds, which are extremely, as far as snakes go, they're pretty high up there on the cost thing. But they're 8 and 9 years old, a male and a female, and they're about as big as a 10-month-old. The male, you can see all of his ribs. You can see his spine. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about him. But they're in my other room right now. And we did get the female to eat. We actually, we feed all frozen, defrosted, heated. But in special cases, we will do live. And that's what we're doing with these 2 right now. So right now I have a garage with, yes, because we just want to give them the most.
I had to do that with her. And
it happens.
And you have to. And then you can move on,
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did get the female to eat an 8-year-old boa. This one's 5 years old, so you can see about how big they should be. I can't go get her, but she's just tiny. And we did get her to eat a little hopper rat live, but the male won't eat it all. So my husband, Larry, went to the pharmacy. He's a dentist, so he can get any medicine. We didn't have to go to the vet. I don't have a vet in the state. Our vet is in, where's our vet, love? In Des Moines, Iowa.
Wow.
So I'm not taking the emeralds just to the vet because they really don't know.
Yeah.
The typical vet doesn't know. So we go with our mentors and our vet in Des Moines and ask questions and then do what we can. So Larry was able to get a prescription medicine mixed up special by the alchemist. Is that what you call him? Alchemist?
Pharmacist?
Compound pharmacist. And he mixed it up. So we start that regimen tonight. And hopefully that will get him eating. But he's in really sad shape. And we did pay for the animals about half of what you would normally pay for them. But it was a rescue all the same, because I did not need those sickly animals to take care of. You know, they didn't add anything to my collection except for the fact that I'm going to be able to bring them back to health, because somebody would have bought the animal.
Because someone wasn't taking care of them, and if you hadn't gotten them, it's very likely they probably would have died.
Yes, because anybody could have bought those animals, and they were going at such a low price that they would have sold just because they're based in emerald tree boas. And we had no idea how tiny they were until we got them in our hands. We knew that they had a lot of problems, but we did not know that they were in such bad shape. And it's always scary to bring sickly animals into your collection.
Yeah, that's terrifying. You have like a whole separate room, yeah?
Yes, they're in a whole separate room. And then the northern that we're working with upstairs is, upstairs in a whole different separate room, because that one is a wild caught import from Guyana that's been in the States for about a year. So it is established. It eats, not it. She eats, and she is really healthy. She just had not bad, but improper husbandry. So she had layers of shed skin, and her eyes had two layers of shed, and they were kind of pulling it shut. So I put her in the rain chamber for 8 hours almost. And then I took some painter's tape, because it's not super sticky, and I smushed it real good all over her face. And then I just gently pulled it, and the tape came off. It didn't take the skin off, but it loosened it enough, and I was able to pull it. And that snake, you could just see the gratitude. She just kept looking around and sticking out her tongue, which she hadn't been doing before.
Of course, she suddenly
Yep. So she's up there, and she's been doing great. She eats the frozen, defrosted. We're super proud of her.
That's awesome.
Oh, and like I mentioned, Larry's a dentist. And after I got that shed off her face, Larry wanted to have a look inside of her mouth and just really give her a good look over outside in the daylight. And so I took her upstairs on the patio where Larry was sitting, all ready for her little examination. And Larry told her to open her mouth. And that snake opened her mouth so gentle, Larry. And then she leaned it against her own body to help her just sit there and keep it open. And we thought she was going to bite herself or something, but she just sat there with her mouth open until Larry was done. It was unbelievable. What? She was absolutely grateful. And I could tell you another experience. I briefly mentioned that I specialize in taking people to the Amazon rainforest to find these guys in the wild. That's like my big claim to whatever, that I do that, because it's an outlier. It's not normal. So I take people out there to find these guys. Well, I found one, and she was huge. We know she was a female because the males don't get that big, but she had these big, long thorns from these trees that have poison in them. Like if we touch the tree, it's going to cause a lot of problems. And she had one stuck right in the top of her head and multiples in her body. Ooh. And I liked a comment that somebody put on my video was that she probably wrapped some food and then wrapped and kept going all the way into that tree. So that sounds right, because these guys do, once they wrap their food, they're not thinking about anything. And I pulled the first one out of her body, and she let me. And then I tried to get the one out of her head, and I couldn't get it out. So I had to hold her head down with two of my fingers with one hand and pull it really, keep pulling it, get it all the way down. It didn't just come out. It was so deep. And she let me do all of that. And she was not sickly. She was moving around. And then in my video, you can see when I released her back into the wild, she kissed me just like that and then slithered away. So I believe that these animals have a lot more thinking going on than what we realize. And I know you and your community feel the same way. And that is my favorite thing about all of you guys, is that we share the idea that these animals can think and love and feel.
Yeah, they can definitely
Because you
feel.
love me. Yes, and I love you.
And I'm so excited because John, my husband John, and I have decided that we are going to go with Amy to find emeralds in the jungle. We're going to go on one of these trips. I'm so excited. We're just kind of starting to develop the idea, but it's going to happen. I also want to be covered in emeralds at Amy's house, so I'm gonna
Yes,
invite
I
myself
can't wait for
over
you guys to
first.
come to my house.
So we'll probably do, like, John and I will fly to you, and then I'll get covered in emeralds, and then we'll go to the jungle. It'll be so exciting.
That's going to be so incredible. We'll make lots of videos for you guys.
I'm like, it's great because I've wanted to do this, and since I saw your trip with Bob and Dave, but I was like, who am I to do this? Like, who am I to ask to go on this trip? And also, I was like, I don't know, would John come with me? And after I got home from Animal Con and I talked to him about how much we connected, how deeply we connected, and how would you be interested in going? He was so enthusiastic. He was like,
that's so amazing.
100% and 100% wants to be covered in emeralds at your house too. So it was like, yay! So we were kind of just like,
fabulous.
It's another honeymoon. This is it. This is great.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Sweetie, can you get me Cassius Clay?
I'm so excited about that. Thank you for sharing those stories. That's incredible.
We're going to take Cassius Clay out also right now. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to answer this question
and the
really
cool
quick.
thing about Cassius, what'd you say?
There's a question I do want to answer when you.
Okay. What is it?
Let me put it up on the screen. Jake, can you put that last question up on the screen? Thank you. Do I use any app in particular to keep track of my animals? I built my own. I'm a nerd. I do data system development, and I could not find an app that suited the way that I like to keep track of things, and suited probably my neurodivergence as well. So I tried a handful of them, but I don't know if I think I tried Exotic Keeper, but I'll have to check again. I'm pretty sure I tried it. So I ended up building my own app. It's still, I can, and the best part about it is I can tweak it. I can change it. I can make changes as I go. But it also allows automations and notifications and data. I can analyze data and all of that.
Wow.
Yeah, I ended up just making it myself, and I'll probably do a walkthrough of it someday on a video, and give you guys a bigger window into how weird my brain is.
Well, everybody's gonna want that app now.
So, look at you got two now. Okay, who's this?
Okay, so the next animal that I just added here is Cassius Clay. And the interesting thing about Cassius Clay, like I mentioned, my animals roam free in here, and I've never had any issues with my males. But this one, Cassius Clay, the one in my face right here, he has sexually matured.
Uh-huh.
So thankfully, he's still very, very nice to us, but he has turned into a huge bully with the males. Um, he, he just wraps the males instantly and wants to squeeze them. And then when he gets around the females, he starts caressing them. So he's become
Mm.
extremely aware between males and females. Well, right around when this started happening, and he's also the father of the baby. He got Isis pregnant when he wasn't even 3 yet. He was always extremely active with his little hemipenis, always wiggling it around and stuff. So that's why we decided to try him at such a young age, and he did. So I was holding 2 of my males just like this before Cash started getting the way he was. And all of a sudden, right on a live on Tim, Trepid, Intrepid Exotic, I was on his Patreon Zoom meeting holding the 2 snakes, and next thing I know, they were started mating right in my hands. So then I knew that Jormungandr was not a male, but a female. And so I put them together, and now Jormungandr has just finished ovulation. So we should be getting the post ovulation shed if it was a real ovulation.
Oh,
And
that's
then I
exciting.
also had 2 females. When you adopt these snakes, I know I keep saying it, but they cost a lot of money. And I'm super fortunate that Larry loves them so much and I get to get them. But we got 2 females, and they're more expensive than males because they have breeding potential. Well, it turned out that they're males. The 2 females are males. So we were super excited when one of our males was a female, and now Ningishita was supposed to be a female, but Cassius Clay treats Ningishita like a Ningishita is supposed to be a male, but we think he's a female.
Oh.
So that will make 4 incorrectly sexed emeralds that we bought. I don't like to say bought, I like to say adopted, but we bought these animals. So
Yeah.
it is not easy to sex these guys.
I wonder
And
why that is, why why it would be different, or if people are just not doing it,
no, they
just
came from good people.
really. Hmm.
Yes. So I think that there's just, when they're babies, it's just really too hard. I talked
Yeah.
to my friend Gary Schiavano. A lot of people know who he is. And he said that he would never adopt out an arboreal baby sexed because it's just too
Yeah.
hard.
I've heard that before too about green tree pythons. Someone was saying like, if you ask me what sex the baby is, I'm not gonna tell you. You're just gonna have to take it or not,
Right.
because I won't do it, because they're so delicate when they're little, um, that it can really hurt them. So,
Right.
wow, that's interesting. You're just like, are you a boy or a girl? Like, like, are you guys gonna be play nice or not? Yeah, I just like Sunday would love so badly to have, and John agrees with me. We both want this, that I want so badly to have a room, at least one room that is completely snake proofed and safe for them to explore on their own, because that's one thing that is really hard on me personally. I feel guilty because I want to let them do their thing more, but it's too dangerous. Like, we have this big old house with lots of stuff, and there's just no way, and we have the dogs, and it's just not safe. But the idea of building out a room with vines and things to climb on, and just letting them on their own and not forcing them to do it, and not keeping them from it, just I love that idea so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just letting
I
them do
think.
it on their own time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like
And
with these guys, what was that?
I was just going to say, of course, that's another thing to consider, is like what snakes can be with which ones. And in my case, like, if Anu's out, not many other no other snakes are going to be out, because she'll eat them. But probably the boas, with some supervision, getting an idea of like, oh, these two fine, the boas are probably fine together. They might not even notice each other, or do they have the cameras in there, that kind of thing. But yeah, you have a whole different level on there now.
And also, I have videos on the social media too, like the sped up all night long infrared cameras that I have in here. And I let all the animals out and I set up my hammock and just sleep in here. And on the
Love it.
videos, you can see the animals come down and kiss my face and just be curious about me. And it's just incredible because I get the opportunity to not just like go get the snake and interact with it, but that they actually choose to come and interact with me.
Yeah.
And of course, people say, well, they're just checking out the heat. Yes, I'm sure that's true, but these animals interact with me enough that they definitely know who I am. And
They
there's
know.
plenty of video proof of that because when I pile people with all of these snakes, you can see every single video, 6 snakes' heads coming out wherever I'm standing.
Just
They
so
are looking for me.
I want to just make a point here. Checking out the heat signature. Okay, let's unpack that for a second here. A snake in the wild that sees a heat signature as large as you are is not going to go investigate it. That is a predator. So that whole argument doesn't make any sense at all. A heat signature that's this big, sure, yeah, they will go check it out. But they're not looking for food when they go see you. That's just doesn't make any sense because we're too big. We're predator size. So I just need to point that out because that
Yes,
just
that is
isn't.
an excellent
They
point.
know who you are. They know who you are. They're just
Definitely.
investigating you. you know?
Yes, and it feels so good. Like we were talking about that moment of happiness that you can gain from the love, just spending time with them. But when they actually come to you,
Oh yeah,
it's
this one.
incredible.
This one. She was the runt of the two that I got at the same time. I mean, she's a month younger than Nymeria, but she had trouble getting established. She was nervous. She needed a lot more clutter and she needed a lot more things to hide in. And it took her a while to get established. And then I upgraded her enclosure, I don't know, maybe 4 months ago or something. And she was the shy one. And she has lately been so bold. Like, I'll open the door and she'll just poke her head out and, say hi to me and then come right out on my arm. And it's so fun to watch their personalities develop too. And to just like be like, I want to see what you do. And to know that she feels safe enough to trust me like that. It
Yes.
just makes me very happy.
I do
Yeah.
have a small rescue zoo upstairs. And it's the kind of rescues nobody could argue with. None of them were bought, paid for, even though I don't agree with that sentiment. But they were like, I have 2 sulcata tortoises that were living in snake racks, drawers,
Mm,
in bad shape, stunted growth, pyramiding shells. And
mm.
I've had them over a year now. They're failed fosters. Somebody taught me that word today.
Oh,
Which means I tried to foster them, but couldn't get rid of them. So that's what it means to have a failed foster. I just learned
hmm.
that I had visitors to my little zoo this morning. And I do get visitors in this zoo. It's amazing. I love all my visitors. But then also I have an iguana that was being kept in a Tupperware cake pan. with part of her tail chopped off because she was too big and they couldn't shut the lid fast enough because she was too flighty. And then I have a king snake who, like yours, every time I open the door, she comes right out. And we let her roam free. She stays in her cage, in her habitat, I mean. And she has the bioactive habitat, and that's just I just collect roly-polies and stuff from outside and dirt from down by the river. So it's not true, but I mean, you can open those doors, you never ever smell a thing. And I've never cleaned that cage. It just
Really?
stays totally clean. I put earwigs and roly-polies, and I just Googled
Wow.
what kind of bugs eat the stuff, and I just keep putting them in there. But she's extremely healthy, but one time she was gone for 5 months. We didn't think we
Oh.
were ever gonna see her again. And then she
Oh
just
no.
I went into the bathroom and there she was on the floor. I was like, "Serapi!" So,
Oh no.
and then we have another little corn snake upstairs, and all of those animals up there all came from the same house. There's a
Mm.
hoarder. He'll never ever watch YouTube, I'm sure. He's an
Mhm.
elderly gentleman in his early 80s, and he still goes and catches wild snakes and hoards them in this house. And
Uh,
once in a while, I can beg and plead him out of one. So I cannot, sometimes I have to go over to that house to help with something, and it's extremely difficult because I always come back with something. So we try not to go over there. But it's
yeah.
the upstairs, my little upstairs zoo, each of those animals had a very heartfelt beginning that was very
Mm.
sad. So we just love giving them their house.
Bye, Tara. Thank you, Tara. Sorry if I
Hi,
pronounced that
Tara.
wrong.
Thank you. I
Hi,
love you so
Tara.
much.
Thanks so much for being here.
Tara and Lady Z have been such wonderful, great supports for me.
Oh, that's
When
so awesome.
I started doing the YouTube stuff, I posted videos, but then when my Isis was going through her pregnancy and it was very troubling and we had a lot of issues, I had been posting on Facebook every day about what's going on with Isis. So it started getting really stressful for me because a lot of people wanted updates and my news was nothing that they wanted to hear. It was just nothing, nothing's
Mm.
happened. So
Mhm.
I decided to just put a live feed camera on Isis and put it on YouTube because I'm watching her on my phone, constantly opening up my app, looking at her. So I just
Mhm.
thought, well, I'll just put her up there on YouTube live 24/7, which I did for 2 whole months, and then the baby for weeks after that,
Mhm.
because everybody wanted to know. So that way everybody could just check in whenever they wanted to. And a whole community grew out of that. I couldn't
That's so
believe it. I
cool.
never imagined.
That's
So
so
yes, that
cool.
was super cool. And Tara and Lady Z are the pillars of that little community. So
Lady Z updated us on the snake therapy Discord for sure.
that's right. I remember
We
you
were
saying that.
chatting about it, so that's really cool, and I love the overlap. And yeah, I mean, this is all like I'm so grateful for you, Amy, and for all of you, and every single person that tunes in and really feeds this positive vibe that we've got going on and this positive energy that we're putting out there. And and I want we are way more than a heat signature to them. Yes.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes. So I'll let you do this, Jake. I can't get there. Anyway, um, yeah, it's a feedback loop, guys. It's not just us, it's all of us, you know? And that's why I want to hear people's stories. Um, and yeah, this that Chris says, they are definitely able to differentiate, I think, and we are not just heat signatures to them.
Mhm.
But yeah, in terms of like, I just wanted to say this again to everybody that this is a community. This is all about us. And it's not just me and Amy. It's not just me. It's all about us. Okay, Heather, I have a question. When people get reptiles, they're passing them on to somebody else and getting different ones. Is it hard on the reptiles like it is with a mammal? Well, I don't think
Yes.
we can. I think we can say that it's a traumatic experience.
Well, they
How much
don't
do
eat.
we, yeah, how much do we know about exactly what they're thinking and feeling? We can't say, but what I would say to that is that any change, any significant change is traumatic. So that's why when you get a new snake, you want to give it time to settle in for a while before you go meddling with it and handling it, and because it's just gone through this huge change. Now, if it was coming from a bad situation and to a good one, then who knows? Like, I mean, watching them bloom, which I know Dave and Scarlett, their ball python is an older ball python, was in Iraq for its whole life, um, and now is in this big, beautiful enclosure and has these wonderful people that loved him so much and interact with him. And we get pictures of him starting to come out and explore, and he's never explored. And maybe that trauma is able to be left behind for them. I mean, I don't know that we can ever know for sure. But do they have trauma? Absolutely. Absolutely. And some of them are going to deal with it better than others, right? Just like
Yes.
us,
Well,
you know?
my serape, my Aztec California king snake upstairs, when I first saw her at the snake house, that's what we call it, the snake house. I wouldn't even begin to explain to you what it's like in there, although they are improving it, but still. Serape was in this drawer and with a newspaper and a water bowl. And if you opened the drawer, that's why they opened the drawer to show me. Look at this one. As soon as you open the drawer, it just flies out biting, and
Of
it
course
just
it
bites,
does.
and she bites her water bowl, and she bites the plastic, and she bites everything. And I went home, and it was like for days I kept telling Larry, I just keep getting tears in my eyes about that. See her right now. I've had her for years now. And it just made me so sad. So I kept calling over there asking, can I just take care of her just until you guys can get her a better place? And they kept saying, oh, we're going to fix her up something better. And we'll send you a picture. And then it's like weeks went by and I'm like, please, can I just take care of her until you guys get the place fixed up? And finally they're like, okay, you can come and get her. And then it was like 6 months or so went by and there was never a word about it. So I knew she was going to be ours. And she is not that anymore. You open that door and she comes right out. You don't even have to worry about her. As long as you're in the living room, she's not going to go anywhere. She only
Mm.
leaves if you forget about her and leave the room, which happens. But now I know exactly where to find her because
Oh,
I follow her. She'll come downstairs. She goes right down the stairs under that door. And I have a huge, in this room, I bought a big one of those ponds from Lowe's, and it's a big plant island on coasters. So I can move it around like when I photograph people in here. And it's a humongous thing full of dirt. And so all I have to do is, when I can't find her, come down here and water that big plant and wait till I see her moving.
that's so
So,
cool.
yeah, she has her spots she likes to go.
Yeah, I
But
mean, anybody who like, I really dislike. I've seen these videos of like, okay, so this is how you deal with a defensive snake, and they're pulling the drawers open, and I'm like, I'd be mad too. Like, come on, that's probably not a defensive snake. It's very likely
right.
that that's all it knows is that when the drawer opens, food comes in, or a giant hand comes in and grabs it and moves it and takes stuff and puts stuff, and that's it. I mean, it just doesn't.
And there's no enrichment, no stimulation outside of food.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
wanted to
think,
say two things.
yeah, please do.
Okay. One thing I started earlier and I never got to finish, I just
Oh,
remembered,
sorry.
is that when I said, this was way when we first started and I was chatting away, that these animals, Larry, my husband, never touched a snake in his life until we got these emeralds. So when I was saying, like, they're hard to get, they need all of this upfront humidity and lighting and all the stuff they need. You don't have to be an experienced snake keeper. You just have to be able to do research and have resources. And if you want to take good care of the animal, you can. So we have never had any snakes until we got these snakes. Larry never even touched one. So if you do your research and you have the resources, please don't be afraid to get one of these snakes just because of all the things that people say.
Yeah.
Hit
I
me up
mean,
and I'll tell you the truth.
I mean, that's kind of part of what I talked about in the beginner video I had, where it was controversial for some people, I guess. Um, saying an animal is a beginner animal really bothers me. Um, but I also think that the title of beginner animal can be bad because people get something that they don't necessarily really, really, really want, because that's the beginner animal and they should start there. And then that animal isn't as loved or as cared for once the person kind of moves on and feels more advanced. So this term, it's for the human. We're the caretakers, right? So it's up to you to do the work, but get what you want. Because if you want it, and if you're passionate about it, then you're going to do the work and you're going to take care of it well. But if you get something you don't want, there's possibility you're just going to kind of not do as much for it. You won't do as much work. Oh, they say geckos are easy, or they say that a king snake is easy and that I don't really need to think about it. And that's no, just always do the research. Just always do it. And I think that's
Yes,
valuable. Yeah, I think that's really
definitely.
valuable.
And then the second thing that I wanted to say is, well, I'll just say real quick, I am waiting to see if these two start mating because Cassius Clay did start mating Yarmungandr on a live video, just exactly like this on
That'd be so awesome.
Exotics video. But that's not what I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is when we were talking about this community and Shira and I bonding, it had our bonding was going to happen no matter what because we are kindred spirits. But
Mhm.
the thing that really pushed us into a deep, deep conversation and bonding was talking about the community. This is a very special community. What this community of Shiras, you guys, is very, very important to keepers like Kira and I, like all of us, especially when we're putting our stuff out there publicly, because we are criticized by, like I mentioned earlier, the long time guys. Oh my goodness, you guys, I have friends who have been keeping these snakes for decades. I am good friends with the grandfathers of the people who brought these in when they were not even in this country yet. And even though they're my good friends and love me, like really, really love me, they tell me, for example, my friend says, the day that one of those snakes writes it in black and white that they're happy, I'll believe it. And then I'm like, but they mate in my hands. They eat, they shed, they do everything they're supposed to do. They have to be happy. Nope, they're happy in tubs. You have to keep them simply in tubs. You can't, he told my husband, put all those snakes in tubs and put her in that room with fake snakes everywhere so she can feel happy. And then the snakes can be happy too. So, I'm not offended by that,
Yeah.
because it came from my friend, and I know how my friends are. And even my super good friends who I love and love me. For example, I was told, I love you, but I can't agree with you handling those animals like that. So it's constant, it's nonstop. And those are from my friends. And then you have the non-friends. Like, I do not ever post something into the Emerald Tree Boa groups because of the things that people have said to me are so nasty. I wouldn't even repeat it here. It's been years since I posted in there, and the last few times I did those years ago, I deleted the post because the comments were so ugly.
Mm.
So I
Do you see
wanted to
this comment, Amy?
know,
Do you
what
see
does it
this?
say?
I think the snakes are able to spell out their happiness quite clearly. Those
Thank you.
peeps just don't know the language. I love that.
That's right. They can't see it any other way. So, like Shira and I really talked about, is that this community is so important to us, because if we didn't have you guys, if we didn't find this community, then like me, I spent years not posting a single picture of me holding my snakes because I had all those Emerald friends on my Facebook, and I didn't want anybody to know I'm holding my snakes because it's bad. And
What?
yes, literally,
Oh, I
for
didn't know
years, I
that.
did not post pictures of me holding my snakes. And now you guys can see what I do. And it's only because of you guys, because of this community, that I see I do have a family that sees things the way I do. And then one more quick thing I wasn't going to say, but now I want to, is that upstairs I have my iguana Jaja. And if you guys have ever seen Jaja, she's like, oh my gosh, she roams free in my house. She's potty trained. So are all of these emeralds, all potty trained. And Jaja will come all the way down and climb up me and take the blueberry out of my mouth. She's so amazing. She's the sweetest, most interactive. When people are outside in my neighborhood, I grab her and go out there because she just loves to interact and look at everybody. And she's my Happy Basin's mascot. And the reason I thought of her being a mascot is because she's very expressive. And these animals are not able to be as expressive as Jaja because they don't have little hands and they don't take little food out of your mouth and do all the cute stuff. So I believe that she is a reflection of how these animals feel. They just don't show it as well as she does. We can't read them as well as we can read her. So she's our little ambassador.
Nice. That's awesome. We missed one comment from Tammy. Did Amy say her vet is in Iowa? Does Amy live in the Midwest?
I live in Arkansas. Sweetie, how far is the drive from here to our vet? Was it 8 hours or 10?
Oh my God, that's so
10
crazy.
hours.
See, this is something I'm going to talk about in an episode coming up. I'm talking about having emergency preparedness for snake meds, medical emergencies and stuff, and a kit to put together, and um, you know, thinking about your vets, making sure you have a list of vets, and for someone who lives in a city or a metropolitan area like I do, you know, it's not the easiest to find an exotic vet, but they are here. They are not 8-hour drives. And that is just, yeah, seriously, that's a long drive, right? Hour and 15. I've heard 4 hours before. I've never heard 8 hours. That's cool. Multiple exotic vets, including a hospital. Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky too. I had a place to take Helios that was an emergency room that would have seen him.
Wow.
I didn't end up needing to. Well, I went there and there were other animals that were in like really dire need of being seen right away. And I was just kind of like feeling worried about him. And I realized like okay, I'm going to wait till tomorrow and I'm going to let those animals get the treatment that they need, and I'm not going to take up any time for the doctors. And he ended up being fine anyway. But I could have. And that is really awesome. For you,
Yes.
that's a different story. That's really intense.
Well,
That's
when we
really
had
intense.
our situation with Isis having her babies, um, that's where we were taking her. And we had two surgeons ready to do what they needed to do. But my friend who thinks that I should get my own enclosure with fake snakes and put my snakes in tubs, and I know that's just his
I think
perspective, and
that's
I don't
horrible, personally.
dislike him for it.
I think
But
that's a
he
horrible
works
thing
with,
to say.
yes, right. He works with these. He's actually an exporter in another country, and he works with these snakes in the wild and wild ones, and he doesn't take his snakes to vets. It's just not like that over there. You'll get to meet him when we go to Suriname,
Mm. I'll try
and
and keep
you'll
my
love
mouth
him.
shut.
Oh, you're gonna love him. You will, because it doesn't matter. It's casting your pearls. It's like not. It doesn't matter what you say. Just listen. Um, and just teach by example. Is better than talking. But he told me, you don't have to take the snake to the vet. You can, like, he massages if he has babies that he knows are not alive, he massages them out. So that's
Okay.
what I ended up doing with Isis, which turned
Okay.
out to probably not be the best decision. That's a whole nother story. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, sweetheart. So we didn't end up having to take
Do you
her for that
guys see
surgery.
that?
What was it?
I just want everyone to acknowledge that Amy just kissed an emerald tree boa on the face,
Oh
and
my
it
God.
didn't flinch.
I
Oh my
love
God.
the kiss
Do you
them.
see this?
Oh my
I
gosh, you
mean,
guys, I had the fella, you can't see this room, but the fella who came over here to build because I have custom cabinetry all built in for these animals, fully plumbed, electric. It's crazy what we've done here. But he's in his 80s, and he called me one day and he's like, Amy, my sister's 90 years old. She's here in the village. We live in this Hot Springs village in Arkansas. She's here in the village, and she has never touched a snake in her life, but it's on her bucket list, and she just wants to touch a snake. So she's this little tiny 90-year-old woman. She comes over here, and she sits in my hammock, and I put these animals, 6 of them, all over her. And well, 7, because we did Bella that day. So she had 7 of these animals all over her. And she was doing that. She was kissing them and like telling
really?
them, oh, you're so jealous. Like the other ones. It was just the sweetest thing. So if you see, I did a short on it. And it's just precious, that little tiny elderly lady who
Right?
never touched a snake in her life, kissing, they're rubbing on her face. They clearly loved her. It's beautiful.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. I've definitely had not to that extent, but I've definitely had an experience with a couple people who are like, I've never done this before and I really want to, and I've always thought they were amazing, but everyone told me they were scary, and having these beautiful moments. But that is really special. That is
And that's
really
therapy to us too, watching the other people be therapized. I know that's not a word, but you know what I mean.
Didn't seem to have any fear at all, which is impressive for somebody who'd never done it before. Yeah, I mean, it's totally impressive.
Oh yeah, that's Lady Z. She would definitely know it. But yeah, it was. And I have had multiple people tell me that these snakes calm them. Like I was so
Mm,
scared, or I wasn't going to touch them. I was just going to look at them, but the snakes made me feel calm. And I actually get that exact comment a lot.
yeah, that's the most common. This
I
one
mean,
I
look at
love.
them. Just look at
Getting
them.
my mom to look at this, my snake was a huge milestone for her. Yeah, so there's a handful of folks that are like, living with a family member that really doesn't like their snakes, and they talk to me about it a lot. And we talk about ways to work through that, because it's a sad thing for both the people, like their relationship, like it's sad if you feel like you can't talk about something you love to the person you love, right? Because they're like, no, no, they're horrible. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to even see it. That's hard on a relationship, right? Just as much as it's like, it's sad that this person isn't getting the experience of understanding that these animals are so amazing, and how to resolve that. um, and there's no one size fits all, but something I usually it's a magical moment when they do start shifting, So as far as what Kismet is saying, like even a little bit, you're winning. Even a little bit, if they start changing a little bit, you're winning, and that means you can keep going, you know? Um, but yeah, there's no one size fits all. It's like I would say, like, just talk about what you love most. Like, oh, my snake is did this amazing thing, and it's or the scales on the snake is just blowing my mind. I gotta tell you about it, or something that's bringing you joy. If this person loves you, they should be able to, you know, empathize at least with your joy and have and care, and they care for your joy, right? They want you to be happy because they love you. So talking about something shouldn't be a faux pas, it shouldn't be taboo. And then the more that happens, the more likely you are to get them to start opening up a little bit. My dad does not like snakes. He
Mm.
does not like snakes at all. He will ask me all about my channel. He will talk to me about my episodes sometimes. He will talk to me, he will let me talk to him about why I'm doing it. And he will ask questions. But he does not like snakes. And he will keep saying that. And I wish he would stop saying that. Um, but at least he doesn't like bar me from being who I am. He loves me and he knows
Yes.
I love them, and so he's opening his eyes and mind to that. They okay, okay. I see that they are giving people joy. I see that they are helping people. That's really cool. Exactly. Passion is infectious. But I don't like snakes. And who knows? He's 85, 86, maybe someday. Hopefully, before the end, we will get him over here and he will hold snake.
Well, the 90-year-old did it for her first time, so
Mm-hmm. I have family
maybe we
members
could
who
show them that video. But I know it's hard
yeah.
for people. Well, Nan, Larry's mom, made a statement that she would never come to our house. And lo and
Mm.
behold, she came over here. What is she doing? She's talking to, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, she's talking to them like they're babies and touching them. So it is
Yeah,
definitely a big win when you get that situation.
it is. It is a huge win. Well, because I have been sick all week and my throat is starting to feel a little bit sore from talking, I think I'm going to start to wrap this up. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for
Amy,
having me.
you're a little blurry on my end, but I'm just so happy that you are here and I'm so excited. Yeah. Oh God, Liz jokingly said she would divorce me if I brought a snake home. Now she wants one of her own. That story is so much fun. Um, anyway, I just want to say thank you, Amy, for being here. And thank you all for being with me to celebrate 1 year of doing this. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And I did want to mention tomorrow, the Little Zoo is having a fundraiser. It's actually active right now. So we are trying to raise funds for, we got a new van to transport the animals, and we need to raise some money for the insurance. And there's an online fundraiser going on right now, and tomorrow we're doing like a meet and greet, so people can come meet the animals. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow with some of my lovely snakes. And if you guys feel like throwing a buck towards it, there's a reward that we could win. Basically, it's a challenge for the platform that we use to raise money. If we win it, they will give us $2,500. So it's kind of like we're trying to kind of get up the excitement about it. I have some posts on Instagram about it, so comment on it. Even commenting on it or sharing it is helpful because it makes them see it, and it can. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. The Little Zoo does some really beautiful things to help people through animals, including snakes. And so I have that tomorrow. I'm going to be doing the meet and greet. But are you going to come with me? Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. It's been incredible. I super appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. And let's keep talking. Please join Discord if you're not already, and let's talk about the community name, because I think that's a cute idea. Thank you so much, Sarissa. Thank you. And that's what we are trying to do as well, is the positivity, to continue that positivity, because I think that we all could use it. And I know I can. So thank you all for being part of this. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And
Thank
love
you,
Amy. Let's talk soon.
Bye. I love you.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.